Okay, we were talking about the Fair Labor Standards Act. It was enacted on June 25th, 1938, and benefits workers in industries whose combined employment represent only 1/5 of the labor force. And what it did was it established a minimum wage of 25 cents per hour, set a max of 44 work hours per week, provided extra overtime pay, and banned oppressive child labor. The FLSA is still around today, but minimum wage is decreasing, as in the year 2000 it dropped by almost half. The opposition of the FLSA are business leaders and the Supreme Court, who had constantly denied laws establishing a minimum wage and laws regarding child labor provisions. The purpose of this act today is to establish minimum wage, overtime pay, record keeping, and youth employment standards in the federal, state, and local governments. And the goal for the act is to increase minimum wage, as it has dropped to $7.25 per hour. So that is a drop by almost half in the year 2000. And some potential downfalls of the act are it is rough for small businesses because they have to pay for overtime, which can lead to very tight budgets, which also result in very valuable workers having to get laid off, as well as tough for rural businesses, as it can make it very hard for these businesses to grow. So now for the questions. What does minimum wage laws have on your life? What impact does it have?
Back when I was earning minimum wage was $5 an hour. But however, some businesses had what they called student wage, which was $2.25 an hour, which was very low. And at the time was illegal, but businesses still did it. So $5 an hour is what the minimum wage was back when I was in high school. And now the minimum wage in California, I think, is $11 an hour, which is, I feel, a good amount of money for someone who'd be able to work part-time, not have any kind of an education, and able to bring some sort of an income into their household to make ends meet.
What is your opinion on how minimum wage impacts our economy?
I think minimum wage, I think the way it impacts our economy, it gets people working. The higher the salary, people will go out there and work, be busy. The more they're busy, the more they work. I feel that crime rate goes down, the more people that are working, the more money they make. I feel they can help the household, pay bills, necessities, purchase things they want that parents can't afford. So I think the minimum wage now is just fine.
So something the Fair Labor Standards Act did was ban oppressive child labor. What are your thoughts on child labor?
Child labor, well, it depends on what age we're talking about. We're talking about, 9, 10 years old. I think that's too young for a kid to be working. It depends on the types of duties they'd be working. If we're talking about sweatshops where they're working long hours and they can't work on their schoolwork or studies or things like that, I don't think that's necessary. I think anything over 12 years old, I think it's fine. Maybe families have some sort of financial hardship where they can't work and a little extra income into the family where the child is working. I think it's completely fine. But I think anything younger than 12 years old is a little young for a child to be working. Anything older than that, I feel is just fine.
Okay, last question. How has overtime pay created by the Fair Labor Standards Act affected you?
I think it's good. I think it affects me because Maybe if you have some extra bills to pay, you want to go on vacation, you could work a few extra hours, work some overtime, and which is time and a half, and that can bring in a little extra money, so you have some luxuries of life. Maybe make a car payment, maybe go on vacation, maybe pay off a loan, pay off a credit card. I think the overtime rate, I think, is fine.
Okay. Thank you.